Alright, I'm gonna drop a storyline freestyle. Lay me a beat. Our story begins all the way in Portsmouth, Virginia. The year is 1966. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, but this was a crazy time in the US. It was also the year that our super coach, Wayne Bennett, was born. Now, Wayne's always had this fascination with football. It was his favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, the NFL did not have a team in Virginia, so he took more of an interest to college and high school sports. Him and his pops would routinely travel to the Virginia Tech games, the Virginia games. It didn't really matter who was playing. It was just the closest game available. It wasn't too far of a drive, and they loved their sports. It was the bond that they shared. In fact, he loved it so much, he decided to get his teaching certificate, and this was pretty much going to be his life. After finally getting his certification, he would routinely go to coaching expos, he would go on recruiting trips, pretty much everything. Whenever there was a huge high school football game, he was somewhere in the crowd. It's one thing to point out that at this time he was reaching out for jobs, trying to get employed somewhere, but the deal was he had to be on the football team in some degree. Now, it's not mandatory in the US for a high school football coach to have a teaching certificate. Maybe in your city it is, but it's not nationwide. Wayne had this, and it eventually landed him a job at North Shore Senior High School in Texas. Now, their team, the Mustangs, at the time were not the best team in the world. If anything, it was more of just a school activity. It didn't really lead you anywhere. And his father was incredibly proud of him. One thing that really drew them together was football, because that was all Wayne really cared about. That was really the only way you could get him to talk, unless you were, of course, in his immediate family or close family, you know, brothers, sisters, cousins, all that kind of jazz. But it was the way that him and his father connected so much. And his father would routinely make trips from Virginia all the way down to Texas just to watch these high school football games. That's kind of crazy. There was a particular game where they were one touchdown out from the state title. Now, Wayne had been promoted to offensive coordinator at this time, and he had invented a weird kind of spread, which always meant that the safety would have to kind of lock onto one person. So there was always a streak or a corner route available. Luckily, their quarterback at the time was able to make these throws, and it really was the difference. Their defense was kind of cold. They had some players go to Northwestern, Illinois, things like that, but the offense had nobody. The quarterback wasn't going D1. The running back wasn't going D1. The receivers weren't going D1, but still they were able to score an average of 35.6 points a game, and this was largely due to the offense that Wayne Bennett had implemented with the team. Unfortunately, though, talent eventually will outmatch you. It did lose that state title game, and it was the last time that Wayne would actually see his father for quite a while. In the offseason, Wayne obviously worked on the playbook. You know, I don't really know much about what high school head coaches do or coordinators do, but you know, he was doing that stuff, if you catch my drift. And before you knew it, week 1 was here. The North Shore Mustangs were playing their first game of the season. It was at home. Wayne's father could travel from Virginia, come stay at his house like they typically do, go to the game together, go to training together. He normally sat in the rafters. Is it the rafters? It is the rafters, right? He sat in the chairs on the freaking sideline, all right? No, the rafters is the roof. Bleachers. Oh my, bleachers, bro. This would be the first time that Wayne's father would decide to not go to the game. Like, sometimes he wouldn't go, but there was a reason. Oh, we got a wedding. We've got this weekend. We've been planning a trip away. He just straight up said, I can't make it. I can't come. Wayne thought that was a little bit weird. It was like, okay, no worries, no problem. Won't be the same there without you, kind of thing. And they go on about their business. Not sure we're going to win this game 45-3. Absolute smashing. Now, the year is 2022, and we are well into Wayne Bennett's coaching career at this point. The dude has been coaching for 30 plus years. And the crazy thing is, he never once left North Shore. Now, when I say this, you need to understand, he is the definition of loyalty. There is nothing more loyal on this planet than Wayne Bennett. His plan, obviously, when he got there was to, you know, become a coordinator or even an equipment manager, something to get on the team, work his way up through the ranks, and then eventually when he got to a point where he could prove himself like he had, he was going to move to a bigger school or a school with a head coaching job. He really wanted to move back home as well. He knew that his father was getting incredibly old now and frail, that he couldn't ask him to like keep traveling back and forth. It was getting a little bit ridiculous, but it was starting to get to a point where it was just too much work in order to get him to the game. So he did kind of want to eventually move home, but time was kind of running out. It was week 5 and there was still no sign of Wayne's father. And it's not like he came every week, but he typically came every third week, and he never missed week 1. That's one thing to point out as well. Because he missed week 1, wasn't there week 2, wasn't there week 3, or 4, or 5, Wayne thought, you know, something is up. Something is really wrong here. I've got a bad feeling about this. So he calls up his mum and has a chat, and his mum explained how, oh, we've just got a lot of things going on at the moment. Not bad internally or anything, just, you know, it just happens to be a busy year. Out of the 35 years he'd been coaching, this is just a busy year, mate. Deal with it, kind of thing. So eventually we get all the way to the state championship. North Shore Mustangs are currently ranked 8th in the nation in high school football on a 14-0 record, and it was now time for the state championship. It was a neutral site game. They got to luckily play at AT&T in Arlington, which, if you've ever been to Arlington Stadium, I drove there from Carrollton, Texas. I drove from Carrollton to Arlington to the stadium. There is this one intersection that I think about every week or so that just needs a red and green light so badly. And we were stuck at this thing for 3 hours just trying to turn right, bro. But let me know if you know what intersection I'm talking about. It goes onto a highway. It's crazy. I was baffled. There was no red or green light. Anyway, quick politic discussion there. So Wayne calls his mother and his father, as he typically does, and explains the situation. Look, we're playing in Arlington. We can get you first class flights here. You're good. You're covered. We got hotels, everything that you need, bro. Just come. And this is when Wayne finally learned the truth about his father and why he wasn't coming to the games. Wayne thought he'd done something wrong, but he was so focused on his football team that he didn't even have the time to really ask how his father was going. His father explained that he'd been in radiation for a number of months now. It started just after the 2021 season, and it had continued all the way here, and things weren't looking good for Wayne's father. Now, I'm not gonna get all sad or emotional on you. That's not what this is about. I'm just telling a story here and what happened. Without going into too much detail, Wayne's father had been diagnosed with cancer a couple months back, and he just had to go to treatments, things like that. That is why he was unable to travel. Plus, he couldn't really be traveling with all this going on. It makes sense. But Wayne was in shock that his father didn't tell him. You know, how could you not tell me? Explain to Wayne that your life is football, you know? We pretty much found out the news right at the beginning of the season, pretty much a week or two before you had called me to fly down for week 1. Now, this was the most important time for Wayne's father not to be there. This was the busiest time for him. He was going to doctors and this and that every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. But he told Wayne that I was going to tell you after the football season because I don't want you to be upset or distracted. You guys are the closest you've ever been to a state championship. You guys are the closest you've been to an undefeated record. I need you at your best at coaching. Deal with that and then deal with me. And that's basically what happened. North Shore was, as we said, 14-0, and they would go on to win the state championship 35-23. North Shore Mustangs finished in the top 10 nationally ranked for the first time. And this was with Wayne as the head coach as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he had gotten the head coach job a few years back. Like I said, he was the definition of loyalty, and when he was an offensive coordinator, he did get offers to become a head coach at rival schools or schools in the area in Texas, essentially. But when you're at the same job for 10, 15, 20 years, doing what you love, doing what your passion is, and you're having an incredible amount of success at the same time, Wayne couldn't leave this. He had developed connections to not only the players, former players, other coaches, parents, but the community as well. There was often times when the school would do charity events and things like that, and Wayne was always at the forefront. He was always out in the community helping out. He was very well liked and extremely popular in the area, and that is ultimately why he didn't leave, on top of already being such an incredibly loyal individual. Now, Wayne's father had unfortunately passed at around the halftime mark of the state championship, and this absolutely broke Wayne's heart. 15-0 for the first time in school history, and here he was, crying by himself in the corner. But it was now 2023. After everything had been wrapped up and all that, there was a hole in Wayne, you know? He'd achieved everything he wanted pretty much at the high school level. He'd been there for 30 plus years at this point. Now, he'd been getting a number of college football offers for quite a few years. In fact, he was even called to be a positional coach at Alabama for their quarterbacks. It wasn't necessarily because Wayne was a fantastic quarterbacks coach or anything. It was because his quarterbacks always seemed to be so good. They seemed to perform so well. Even some more local schools like North Texas, SMU, they both came ringing. Not as head coaches, but this offseason, Wayne had a moral dilemma because he didn't like the idea of being away from home anymore. He had already missed out on so much time, and he always thinks to himself, could I have been there more? Or could I have flown out to Virginia more and spent more time with my family whilst they were still here, mainly obviously thinking about his father. And it ultimately came down to two things. He would eventually get a call from two different colleges. One was the Hawaii A&M Dolphins. Now, this was a brand new program in Division 1. They were pretty decent. They had a lot of success at a lower level. And this was Wayne's vacation idea, you know what I mean? He was basically going to go to Hawaii A&M, ride out the rest of his college career, and then retire in Hawaii. It sounds like a pretty sweet life. And then there was another school that called. Out of the blue, randomly, Kirk Cignetti had left JMU and become the offensive coordinator at Florida. And there were a lot of candidates in front of Wayne Bennett. Of course, he's a high school coach, the super coach, though. At this point, mate, he can coach anybody. I'm calling him the super coach. He is the super coach. Everybody rejected James Madison's offer, and I mean everybody. Coaches from Southern Miss, Tulane, Tulsa, North Texas, all over the nation. People were getting calls left, right, and center. Look, we've just hit D1. It's a lot of freaking work, but we need somebody to coach this football team. Our head coach has just abandoned us and left and gone to Florida. This was perfect for Wayne Bennett. He gets to go back to Virginia. Not exactly to where he's from, but he's in the state. It's not far for him to go and visit his mother. So now the choice was, and there were really two sides to this coin, because I'm getting somewhat close to thinking about my retirement. You know, I'm a couple years out, maybe even 10 if I want to push it. I can go to Hawaii, set up a nice life there, and retire and basically never see me family ever again, other than Christmas. Or I can go home and make up for the time that I've lost, the time that I won't get back with my father. Wayne wanted to go to Hawaii A&M. He really did. That was his first option, had his father been healthy, and of course if he was going to leave North Shore High, but the area just reminded him of his father now. You know, his father had been there. They'd gone to all the restaurants. Everywhere in the town they had visited at least once, and he couldn't go anywhere in the town without seeing his dad or having some kind of memory or something like that. And it kind of made him a little bit angry almost towards the area. So he needed to get out of North Shore. It was time to leave. He'd been there. He'd paid his service. Eventually ended up at James Madison University as their brand new head coach. This was his first time in college football, and he watched college football religiously, but he never thought he'd really be coaching there, you know what I mean? Kind of hits you. It's a little bit surreal. And you guys are pretty much caught up to where we are in real life right now. It is the 2023 season. James Madison is fairly new to Division 1 football, and now without a head coach, they really have no direction. Wayne Bennett's going to have to earn the trust, respect of his players. He's going to have to get them prepared. And it's kind of ironic because he's the oldest he's ever been, but it's the hardest he'll ever have to work. So welcome to the Wayne Bennett Super Coach, James Madison University Prestige Dynasty. Well, what is goody, fellas, and welcome to our new dynasty. And if you don't know what a Prestige Dynasty is, well, too bad. No, I'm just playing. So a Prestige Dynasty is whatever your school prestige is, you can only recruit players of that caliber. We are a one-star school, meaning we can only recruit one-star players this year. But there is an exception. Every year you can recruit a player of any caliber. So it's basically going to look like 19 one-stars, 1 5-star is essentially what I'm saying. Very similar to Hawaii A&M. Today we're going to go through the entire recruiting board, look at the depth chart, go through the schedule, and basically get the entire team set up. We have Todd Centillo, correct me if I'm wrong, 81 overall. He's a really good scrambler. Wow, 92 excel, 92 agility, 82 speed. We can definitely do a lot with that. 82 juke, 82 spin. Carrying is somewhat decent. 69 is not ideal, but it can get it done. Per pound accuracy is very extremely average, but again, we could probably work with that. Backup is a freshman redshirt Billy Atkins, so if we don't get a 5-star quarterback this year, Billy Atkins will be leading the charge. Running back Percy Agiobese. I probably pronounced that so wrong, and I really apologize. Percy here, 79 overall. Pretty slow, not gonna lie. He can't truck, even though he's 6 foot 213. Pretty decent at breaking a tackle, decent elusiveness. We can work with this. We definitely can. Latrell Palmer is our backup. And we also have Van Horst, and we have Kalen Black as well. So we got a bunch of running backs here. Wide receivers, this is all over the place. So our best receiver is Chris Thornton. He's in the slot, 84 overall. Reggie Brown at the top. I'm kind of excited. This is not an overpowered or underpowered wide receiving core. This is definitely 3 guys who can definitely get it done. And Reggie Brown comes back next year. The other 2, though, are leaving. Tight end looks really solid. Zach Horton. I might might even go ahead and start Zach Horton because I want him to get as much XP as possible. I want him to upgrade as much as possible. I want to keep this realistic, and Drew Painter is a senior, so we're going to rock with Drew Painter. Offensive line, so the left tackle 73, left guard 69, center 68, right guard is good, right tackle is decent. Wow, the entire O-line will be returning next year, and 4 of the 5 are returning the next year. Left end freshman, Mikhail Kamara. Wow, okay, 77 overall. Well, I like that a lot. And then we have Isaac Ukwu at right end. I got an Australian accent. It's difficult to pronounce these names, so I apologize. But 88 excel, 88 agility. This guy is a freak. He is so athletic, so fast. So D-line looks really, really good. We have a sophomore and a senior, 79 and 72. So this will be my user. And wow, he's amazing. Sophomore, 84 speed, 90 agility, 90 excel. If you told me that I could create a 78 overall middle linebacker, the first 2 things I would tell you to add on him are excel and agility. And this guy right here has got it. Expect Torres Jones to have a lot of interceptions. Right outside linebacker, Jalen Walker. Not bad at all, 78. We can work with that. The whole linebacking core is amazing. I don't know how this team is 74 overall. Cornerbacks all look extremely solid, and only one of them is a senior. Antoine Booth is a freshman. Okay, so I thought his name looked familiar, but it's because he was at Michigan State. That's why. You bastard. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm glad I'm here, though, because I get to use him now. These 2 are juniors. This guy's a senior. Chuck Wunike? I'm sorry again. He's going to get the start because he has a decent amount of speed here, and that translates well to what we're trying to achieve. Now, before I get too sidetracked, let's go through the sliders real quick. I went with a variation of J-Kit sliders. J-Kit has a very popular slider kit. We're rocking on Heisman difficulty, 7-minute quarters, 25 game speed. Now for the sliders. We're coming in with 10 accuracy, 30 pass block, 25 wide receiver catching. The only thing that was untouched was field goal accuracy. But yeah, it's going to be a really uphill battle for us. We are really facing a challenge here. And as for the CPU, they copped it bad as well. I don't think they got away scot-free, but they do shine in more areas than us. For example, their running back ability is on 50, so default. That's really solid for them. Running backs will be a problem, but we'll see how we react to it. Wide receiver catching, pass blocking is both on 45. Their accuracy is on 25. Everything has been dropped pretty substantially, like their rush defense is on 25, ours is on 25, so it's not as bad as it might look initially. Yes, they do outshine us in a lot of areas, but in a lot of areas, they're exactly the same as us. It's just going to come down to what side of the ball is genuinely better. So whatever we regenerate to is what we're going to rock with, but we're going to have a game in week 1, and we're going to verse the Dolphins. Louisville, Eastern Michigan. So let's go ahead and get rid of Bowling Green in week 8. Oh, it's actually a rivalry game. Wait, why is it a rivalry game? So every year it is going to be a home game for the Dolphins. Think of it just like James Madison's version of the Aloha Bowl, you know what I mean? Except this time we're going up against the Dolphins. We have Louisville before that, FCS East, so that's going to give us a nice little breather. Nebraska's a team that's struggling in real life. They're going to be way better than us. Who knows? Maybe we can somewhat pull up an upset. I made Wayne Bennett level 20, but there's a catch. Every second level we get has to go into game management. So when we go to level 22, we're only going to get 1 into recruiting, 1 into game management. Wayne Bennett is the super coach. That's the whole persona here. So we can only get 1 stars. No idea on who our 5 stars going to be yet. 1 stars are really finicky. Like, it's very rare, extremely rare to find one that is actually good. Our best bet with 1 stars is also getting JUCOs. I know that's not the funnest thing in the world. Not that there's anything wrong with JUCOs, but that's going to give us a nice little stat boost, nice little overall boost. And by the time that those guys become seniors anyway, we're going to be able to recruit 2-3 stars. You know, our 5-star player basically more than likely has to be a quarterback though. 54 overall. I mean, it's not bad, I guess. This surprisingly isn't as bad as I thought. Cole Price. This guy's a JUCO as well, 6'8", 270, but he's 69 overall. That we can use that. 53. It looks like everybody who's a 40 is going up. Not a lot to work with, but once we hit week 3, we'll be able to add our low loss cheese. I gotta get a jersey check. I haven't seen the jerseys for James Madison yet. So we've got our home jersey. We got our away, which is all white. We have a blackout jersey. That's really nice. Ooh, we have a gray jersey. I didn't know they had a gray jersey. So there's a lot of alts here. This is really nice. They really went all out with James Madison. We have, holy crap, how many are there? We have a total of 16 alternates. But with that being said, fellas, that is going to wrap up episode 1 of our Prestige Dynasty here with JMU. Hopefully you guys dug the storyline. I'm excited to start this. It is heartbreaking losing Hawaii A&M, but I represented them the best way possible. That's by having an annual Aloha Bowl with them. So at least they're going to be involved in the series. It's going to be a lot of happy memories when we do visit Aloha Stadium and take on the Dolphins. But other than that, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. If you guys made it this far into the video, then you are the real MVP. Hope the rest of your day's awesome, and from me personally, I'm out.
Sometimes I wonder, can I breathe right underwater? Sometimes I wonder, can I speak in outer space? Sometimes I wonder, can I call up